Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Benson. What's yours? So we're going to do a special video. I'm going to compare an electric smoker with an old-fashioned fire-fed wood smoker. Basically, the electric smoker, you put wood chips in, put a little bit of water in a dish, set the temperature, and you can kind of really forget about it. I'm going to do two different items for Easter this coming up Sunday. Our family's getting together, there have been chips and hot dogs and things and all things that we can't have. So I'm gonna cook, I'm gonna smoke 2 corned beef briskets, and then I'm going to smoke 2 pieces of lamb, what is it? Leg of lamb, 2 pieces of boneless leg of lamb. Now, I'm gonna season them as close to possible as I can. One of the legs of lamb I bought is already pre-seasoned with garlic and rosemary, so I'm not gonna touch that one. The 2 pieces of corned beef, I'm gonna put in a brine along with the leg of lamb. And the way I'm gonna do that is, with your corned beef, there's always a packet of spices that come with it. I'm gonna throw those in my mortar and pestle, grind those up, get me about 2 cups of water boiling, dump the seasoning in there and stir it up real good, then add some cold water to cool it down, submerge the 2 pieces of corned beef and the leg of lamb in that water, and then they're gonna soak until I smoke them on Sunday. So they're gonna get just a little bit over 24 hours worth of brine soak. So the only thing I'm gonna add to the spice mixture when I throw it in the pot is salt, and I'll add about a cup of salt to the water just so it gives it that like real briny, salt watery flavor. But I'm gonna show you the briskets I'm running with. Now, one brisket is 3.4 ounces, the other brisket is 3.1 ounces. It was a 4.4 ounce brisket, but I cut a chunk off so I could get it a little bit closer to the other one. So I'm gonna show you those real quick, and then I'll show you the spices in the mortar and pestle. If you don't know what a mortar and pestle is, it's usually a ceramic, or this is a stone dish, and it's got like grooves on the inside. And then you got one of these bad boys that you use to grind up. It's basically the way they used to grind herbs and spices and stuff back in the day. You can buy an electric spice grinder, works just as fine. I prefer this method. So let me show you the briskets. This is one brisket right here. This is the piece that I cut off of this guy right here. This guy was a 4.5 pounder. I've got him down to a 3.25 pounder. And this guy is at 3 and about a 2/3 pound. And this is the piece I cut off. This will probably get brined along with these other 2, but I'm gonna pull this one out tomorrow and probably cook it for dinner or something. Probably maybe in the crock pot or something, I haven't decided. So there's those. Here's one leg of lamb. It's a boneless leg of lamb that I found at Aldi's. I actually got these briskets at Aldi's as well. And the other one is the same shape and size, but like I said, it's pre-seasoned with rosemary and garlic. This is our spices, so there's some mustard seed in there, there's some sage, some fennel, and then some peppercorn and stuff like that. We're gonna grind this up and get it into our water, and then I'll bring you back once I get that all boiled together. Once all that is boiled together and I add the cold water and I get ready to submerge them, I'll bring you back to that. They're gonna get submerged and into the fridge for the next day or so. But let me get this grinded up. Mortar and pestle lets me control the grind a little bit more. I didn't want it powdery, I still wanted it flaky, but man, I wish you guys could smell this. It smells so good. There's sage and allspice and mustard seeds and rosemary and stuff in this. It's just so fragrant. As soon as the peppercorn started popping, like it just was hitting full force. So let's get this stuff into the water. Alright, so that's everything into the pot to about 2.5, 3 cups of water. We're going to bring this to a boil, let the salt dissolve, and kind of mingle with the rest of the spices. Let the rest of the spices bloom in the heat of the water. Then we'll cool it down with some ice and some cold water, and then in go the lamb and the brisket. Alright, so our mixture is done. It's already boiled. I've added ice. It's cool water now. I can put my hand in it, no big deal. I'm going to go ahead and get the briskets in there. So beef number 1.
That looks weird. But it actually smells great.
Corned beef number 2.
It actually smells pretty good.
Yeah. And then our lamb. And then our last piece of like corned beef right there. And I'm gonna put a lid on this and all right, thank you, Allie, for recording for me, holding the camera.
No problem.
Bring you back when it's time to pull them out, season them up, and get them in the smokers. All right, so here we are a few days later, like 36 hours, something like that. We've got our meats out of the brine. So again, we've got 2 corned beefs that both weigh about 3.5 pounds. We've got a leg of lamb, 2 legs of lamb with the bone removed, and they're twined together. So 1 leg of lamb came pre-seasoned, I bought it that way. The other leg of lamb, I'm gonna take some garam masala, which is a Indian spice mix, and I've made a paste out of it, and I'm gonna coat the other one just in that Indian spice mix, and I'll add salt to that as well, because it doesn't have salt in it. The other 2 corned beefs, I'm gonna cover in a layer of mustard, and then I'm gonna season them with this, some of this stuff on it. It's Saison Tropical, and it's made by Badia. I found it in the Spanish section of our local grocery store. Do that on the 2 corned beefs, because we may end up having smoked corned beef tacos later this week. But I'm gonna go ahead and get those done, and then I'll show you what they look like once they're all coated. So again, Alright, so you saw a little montage on how you get an electric smoker going. You plug it in, you set your temperature, you set your timer, you put the wood in there, and that wood will last almost the entire time. I might put one small piece of wood in there in a few minutes. Will you hush? Or I might put one small piece of wood in there in between, but the electric smoker is really good on wood and stuff, and it doesn't take a lot. Getting a fire smoker going is a pain in the behind. I forgot to buy charcoal to do this experiment. I thought I had some, and so I have a small fire going. The wood was wet because it rained last night, so we'll see if this holds up. But I keep a little reserve of like oak on the property and stuff in case I want to cook something with just wood or whatever. So I think I've got it going enough. I had some small wood chunks that I'm using for the electric smoker that I'm kind of using to get this started, and we're gonna let it sit here. Fire's going. I'm gonna let the fire die down, see if the wood stays lit enough to smoke and create enough heat, and if it does, we'll put the other pieces on here. But we're gonna check the electric smoker and see what temperature it's at, and then we'll go from there. All right, so we got one corned beef here, one lamb here. With the lid on, the temp here is holding at about 280. I'm gonna bring that down a little bit. That's why I've got the lid off, and then we're gonna can it. The lamb and the beef both cooked to about the same temperature, so that's why on the fire I made sure these two pieces were of similar size and shape. And so right now the internal temp of the brisket is 55 degrees. Again, it just went on like 10 seconds ago. And the thermometer that we have right here at the edge is showing 152, but again, the lid's off. So we're gonna lid it, see what we get up to, and then we'll decide if we need to open this door and let more air in so the flames will pick up a little bit and the heat will rise, or keep the door closed and let it simmer down some. So let's get the lid on. The lid is on the actual fire smoker, however you want to call it, the one that uses actual wood and fire. It's on, the temperature's climbing back up, and I did crank up the electric smoker to 275. I want to get it up to 275 with the meat inside of it, and that way it gets the wood in there kind of really smoking a lot, and then I'll crank it back down to 220. It takes about 20 minutes. But the problem I find with an electric smoker is you don't build that really nice charcoaly burnt bark on the outside of the meat. That's where the experiment with these two things is going, because I have cooked a corned beef in that for St. Patty's Day, and it was great. It tasted delicious, had good flavor, but it doesn't get that bark on it that it should. It's like 9 o'clock now. Let me see. Yeah, so I got up at 7:30, got the meat prepped, and then came out at about 8 o'clock to get the fire going and the electric smoker going, and that took me about an hour. So these are gonna need to go at least 6 hours. So I think we're supposed to eat Easter dinner or whatever at 1:30. We're not eating. We're gonna go up there with them, and they're gonna have hot dogs and chips, and we'll probably eat this stuff for dinner. But I'll check this. The fire's gotta be checked every 30 minutes to an hour to make sure it doesn't go out completely. It's a little cool out today for it to be Florida. I think we started in the low 50s, and we're not supposed to get rain today, but it has rained, so it's been a lot cooler in the air. There's actually a breeze out. You can't tell. There's a breeze out today. So all of that's going to affect the temperature of this little red smoker, whereas the electric smoker is sealed with really good seals and stuff. It shuts tight, it stays hot, rain, cold, whatever. That's the benefit to the electric smoker, is because it's electric, it can maintain that heat a lot better than you can with the fire smoker. And the thing with this thing though is this is just a cheap one you're going to buy at Walmart if you're just getting into it, and so it's a little bit harder to maintain the heat. If you had like an egg or something, or even if you see this metal like tower box over here, that is a smoker. That's actually a big smoker. It's a little bit easier to maintain the heat in that because that brown box is the fire box, and it insulates the fire a little bit better. I don't use that very often. That's usually for like large parties. I mean, there was a time over one summer where I was cranking that joker up every weekend, doing like 40 pounds of chicken and 2 slabs of ribs and 3 pork butts all in the same time, because we'd have friends over, and you know, you're talking 10 to 15 people in my house. And then when we would do like game nights and stuff, I would also crank it up. But that takes a little bit more work. You have to have a bag of charcoal to get that one going. But anyways, I'm babbling now, so we're gonna let this guy go. It's holding at 210 external on the top, the highest part, and we're gonna keep an eye on that and see if it stays there. We're an hour into the cook. The electric smoker's holding steady, you know. The actual fire smoker managed to stay lit. It's holding steady. I did drop, hang on. That's just the alarm letting me know that we're at 220 internal temperature. Actually, we're at 240 on the actual fire smoker. I did drop it down to the second rung so that I could maintain that heat. Now, we're sitting at 246, 250. We're kind of fluctuating. If the wind blows, you'll see it drop about 5 degrees. And once the wind stops and the sun's out and everything, it kind of builds back up that extra 5 degrees. So that's where we're running. We're running about 245 to 255. It's a 10 degrees flux. So if for some reason I need to, I can always lift it up a few more inches if it stays too hot. I did add some cream cheese stuffed bacon wrapped jalapenos and some cream cheese stuffed sweet peppers. They're only not bacon wrapped because we ran out of bacon. They go on, they're probably only going to need to be on for an hour or two, a lot less time than the meats and stuff are going to need. Those are really appetizers. If you're looking for like a keto friendly delicious snack, take you a jalapeno or a sweet pepper, whatever you want, cut it in half, scoop out the seeds, take you some cream cheese and some chives or some cream cheese and some green onions, any seasonings you want to do. Mix that cream cheese together real well. Let it sit overnight, the cream cheese, if you can. It kind of lets the flavor soak into all the cream cheese. And then you take your peppers and you stuff like a flat layer into the pepper, and then you wrap it in bacon. You can throw it in the oven and cook it till the bacon's crispy and the peppers are soft, or on a smoker, on a grill. It's a great keto, bariatric friendly little snack recipe if you're looking for something good. So yeah, the wind's blowing. You can't see it, but the wind's blowing behind me, and we just dropped down to 249. We were at 256. So internal temp on the meat on the actual fire smoker is 89 degrees. I haven't checked the electric smoker, and I won't. In fact, the only reason I opened the electric smoker, I put some of the peppers on the electric smoker and ran out of room, and so I put the rest of the peppers in the fire smoker here. I am going to show you something that's really cool about an electric smoker. So if I need to put wood inside the fire smoker, see, it's got that little door. I have to open that door, exposing the fire to air, which can cause flare-ups and cause your heat to either surge, or you open the door, there's no wind, it actually loses a lot of heat. Even on flare-ups, it'll lose more heat than it gains, so that your internal temperature drops. Now, on this electric smoker, there's a little canister looking thing, kind of like ooze from Ninja Turtles, that you can pull out, put a few pieces of your wood chunks in there, slide it back in and turn it, and it drops the wood into the tray where it can heat up and smoke. That's super cool. I love that about the electric smoker. So we're gonna let this stuff continue to go. Just want to give you an update. All right, it is 11:47. Let me double check. I'm sorry, 11:44. So we went on about 9 o'clock. So we're, what, almost 3 hours in. We're gonna take a look at the one that's on the smoker, and then we'll go in there and check the electric smoker. So we gotta be quick though, so we don't lose a lot of heat. We're holding steady at about 204. We range between about 195 and 205. Ooh. Those peppers are looking good. That's our corned beef, and there's our lamb. Everything looks good so far.
And a purple. Do you want to do that?
And that's what happens when you open the electric smoker with your camera too close. All right, there's our peppers in there.
What?
There's our corned beef and our lamb. The lamb's only got a darker color because of the garam masala. And there's our corned beef. These are gonna finish. These are going to finish a lot faster than the ones on the fire because you can keep that temperature steady. So, and I've had it at 250 the entire time. All right, so the lamb is done. So this is the lamb out of the electric smoker. This is the lamb out of the regular smoker. They're just resting. We're going to let them rest for about 5 more minutes, and then we'll cut into them. Got them both to an internal temperature of about 160, 155, 160, and then pulled them off. The briskets are still cooking though. All right, this is the lamb out of the fire smoker, the regular smoker. See how juicy and moist it still is? So we are going to cut the other one, and then we'll look and see how juicy it is, and then we'll taste them. All All right, and this is the one out of the electric smoker. You can still see all the juices in it. Even on the pieces that are less fat, you can still see the juices kind of squeeze up out of it. So let's taste them and find out. All right, this is the one out of the regular smoker. So, oh, it's so juicy. Good flavor. Got plenty of smoke to it. Smoke really penetrated it. Out of the electric smoker. Honestly, same cook time. Roughly same cook temperatures. I'd say the one out of the electric smoker is better just because of the seasoning I put on it. But meat-wise, same tenderness, same juiciness. They're good. The electric smoker, a lot less of a hassle. It's almost a put it on there and forget about it till it's done. So, if you got the money and you want to get into smoking, an electric smoker is not a bad route to go. It's consistent. And it's less tending, you don't have to stay over top of the fire. So that's the lamb. We'll come back when I've got the briskets done. All right, Jordan's gonna try the 2 different lambs now. So he's got the one out of the regular smoker. All right.
It's really juicy in it. I like it because it's like not super spicy or anything. Because the electric one, right?
Yep.
Okay. Both are really good. That one, the piece that I had didn't have like a whole lot of the spice to it. But if I had to pick one, I honestly like the regular smoked one.
Okay.
With like no spiciness.
Okay. So, do you think it would, if this didn't have the spiciness to it, would you care that it came out of the electric smoker?
No.
Would you be able to taste the difference?
Literally the same, basically, besides like the seasonings.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll know for sure when we do the brisket because those are the exact same seasonings across the board.
Okay.
The internal temp of the one in the electric smoker is about 145 right now. It is 3:31, so they've been on since about 8:30, 9 o'clock this morning. The lamb came out. We enjoyed one of the lamb. The other one just put up for right now, not that we didn't enjoy it. The 2 briskets are still going. The internal temp on those is running about the one in the electric smoker is 147, almost 150. I just pulled the temperature up to about 225. And the one in the actual smoker, she's holding at about 205, 210. External heat from the flame source. And the actual meat itself is running about 154. So I'm just gonna let them go for a few more hours because I'm looking for like that maximum tenderness, maximum melt in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? So just kind of giving you a heads up where we're at. And here's the corned beef. So this is the one that came out of the electric smoker. It's got a really good bark on it. I'm actually surprised how good of a bark it got. This one here is out of the regular smoker. That's the bottom. There's the top. So they've been resting for about 5 minutes. We're gonna give them 5 more minutes and then we're gonna cut them. This one I'm gonna cut this way because if you look here at the meat, if you pull on the meat a little bit, see how the meat looks like it wants to pull apart in this direction? That means the grain is running up and down this way. So you want to cut against the grain. Because if I was to cut it this way, then these would be tough to chew because you're chewing with the grain. Whereas if I cut it this way, it's going to cut against the grain, which means the distance between the muscles is a lot less. So it's not as chewy. In the event that, we have to worry about it being tough. But just want to make sure you go against the grain. But we're going to let these rest for a little bit, and I'll bring you back whenever we cut into them, and we try them out. Alright, this is the one out of the electric smoker. Look at that pretty color. I know it looks dry, but if you push on it, it's still real moist. You've got plenty of juice on it. So, let's see how it pulls apart. I don't think it's going to be too tender, but... Oh yeah, no, it rips real easy. It pulls right apart. It's not going to melt in your mouth. It's going to have a little bite to it. So let's see what it's like. I've been waiting on this all day, y'all. The lamb was good. The bacon wrapped jalapenos were good. Did I show you that? Yeah, I think I showed you this. This, though. This is the gem. Praise the corned beef gods. It's so good. It's tender, it's got a good texture, it's amazingly good flavor, and that's not even getting to the bark on the outside. slap your mama and come see me because you're gonna want some of this. This stuff's good. Juice went down the throat wrong. Same thing on the one out of the fire. Beautiful color. Plenty of moisture still left in the meat. You can hear it. I know it's weird. Alright. Let's give it the pull test. It's a little tougher than the other one, but that could be the cut. Here we go. Got a little bit more of a smoky smell than the other one did. It's definitely a little bit tougher. I'm pretty sure it's the cut of that piece. I bought same company, same brand, about the same weight range, but this piece, you can even look at it where I cut it. See all the white fibers and stuff? Tendons and stuff, so it's a bad cut. It's a bad cut of the brisket, whereas the other one's just all kind of meat. It's got 2 little fat caps on it. This one's just, it wasn't cut properly. So it's got a little bit more chew to it, which isn't bad. I will say it absorbed the salt water a lot more, and I don't know if it's because of the tendons and stuff in it, or maybe, I don't know. It's definitely a lot saltier than the other one. So I'm not going to judge it on tenderness, just because that's the meat cut, and you can tell by looking at it. So the question is, what's better, fire smoker or electric smoker? They're equal, in the sense that they do the exact same thing. The electric smoker is going to win out because I had to come and check the fire smoker like every hour or so just to make sure it was keeping temp, make sure, and it fluctuated a good 10 to 15 degrees. Whereas the electric smoker, I set a timer, I set a temperature, I know it's going to stay at that temperature, and at that timer cutoff, it's going to shut off. And so so the electric, in my opinion, is actually kind of better if you're just getting into smoking. Smoking is a science, cooking is a science, and I'll say that. So keep that in mind. If you're new to smoking meat and stuff and you want to get into it, buy an electric smoker and start out that way. You're going to get more consistent results, especially if you don't have the time to constantly go check it. So, in my opinion, in this instance, the electric smoker wins out. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Love you guys. Till tomorrow.